Hi, this is Margaret coming to you from NACS headquarters in Alexandria, Virginia, and I want to welcome you to the 2021 Virtual Day on the Hill. We're grateful you're able to join us to add your voice, your stories, and to help influence decisions on the Hill that affect your business and your customers. Virtual Day on the Hill will look a bit different than in person. We want to make sure you feel prepared and confident as you log on and talk with your legislators about our issues. Whether you already have experience meeting with Congress or this is your first time, it can be helpful to see how an effective virtual meeting takes place. Once you've located the Zoom link in our Day on the Hill web portal, log into your meeting. Don't worry if this is your first time. Before our meetings, we're holding a general session webinar where you'll learn all about the issues we're carrying this year and how to make the ask. Your team will also need to decide who's going to lead the discussion for each topic.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us today for our meeting. I want to go through a couple of things just real quick so we kind of go through the intros and then we can kind of flow through the issues without having a lot of kind of awkward pauses in the middle or long pauses in there. So kicking off the meeting, I'll introduce the industry real quick, just tell them we got a couple retailers and the supply room here to join us, and then hand it off to you guys to do your own introductions of yourselves and your companies. And just to get the order right, I'll start with Julie, then Jared will follow her, and Kevin will wrap that part up. And I think for this meeting, we were going to start with electric vehicles, and I believe Julie, I think you're leading off that one, correct?
Sure, I'll take that one.
Okay.
Once the member of Congress and their staff sign on, your team lead should be ready to kick off the meeting with some background and key facts about our industry. Then it's time for introductions. It's important to share the powerful impact your business has in their home district or state.
Thank you for joining us today. I'm John Tate with the National Association of Convenience Stores, here with a couple of retailers and a supplier member that have operations there in your district. We're here, we have our annual fly-in every year. Usually we bring a little over 100 people to Washington, D.C. and go meet in your office and talk about some key industry issues. But obviously, thanks to the pandemic, we're doing it virtually this year. So I appreciate you giving us some time today. I do want to hand this off to a couple of retailers we've got joining us, one of our supplier members, introduce themselves and their companies too.
Hi, I'm Julie Jakowski, and I'm Chief Legal Officer and Corporate Secretary for Casey's General Stores. We're a Midwest convenience store chain. We're in 16 states with over 2,200 locations.
Congressman, thanks so much for joining us today. My name is Jared Sheeler, and I'm the CEO of the Hub Convenience Stores. We currently have 6 stores in your district and employ 81 people. I've also served on the NACS Board of Directors since 2010, and I'm currently the treasurer of the Board of Directors.
Kevin Martello, I'm Vice President of Convenience and Industry Affairs for Keurig Dr. Pepper. And like many other suppliers, we're on the Hill today supporting the retailers in the convenience industry.
We'll send each office a briefing packet ahead of your meetings, but occasionally you'll introduce topics that the members will be hearing about for the first time. Your meeting is one of many that lawmakers have each day. Make the most of it by discussing each topic efficiently and effectively. This means you'll want to keep it concise and hit your critical points.
2 things I want to talk about today were kind of electric vehicle charging issues and liabilities. I want to start off with the electric vehicle issue, and I'm going to ask Julie to kick us off with that, please.
Sure. As John said, the first issue pertains to EVs, which seems to be a hot topic right now, especially with the new administration and the goal for climate change, but just looking at energy and transportation in general. And so we thank you, first of all, for speaking out in support of the private sector investment and competition in building that EV charging infrastructure as part of the upcoming highway and infrastructure package. Jared, were there other additional things that you'd like to add to the conversation?
As a small retailer, Congressman, what I look at is another area that is a big challenge for us to overcome when it comes to getting into the EV space, and that's the role that electric utilities play. I've priced out some of these new DC fast chargers. This equipment is very, very expensive. And not only am I not able to get a direct ROI on reselling that electricity, other entities, such as electric utilities in many states, are allowed to build out their own infrastructure and then pass on the costs of that infrastructure onto all of their ratepayers, all while getting additional government incentives.
As we wait on an official vote on the House floor for the bill and the upcoming highway and infrastructure package, we're asking lawmakers like yourself to weigh in with your fellow representatives to support the bill and to add on more co-sponsors. So if you could do that, we would certainly appreciate it.
As you know, I myself drive an electric vehicle. So I understand the issue quite well, and I'm happy to support your industry on this issue.
It's possible that the member of Congress won't commit to a yes or a no on an issue. Be sure to remind them of our position and offer to follow up with more in-depth information for their staff.
Congressman, as you can see, this issue is very important to us in our industry, and we're asking, in the next COVID-19 stimulus package, will you support liability protections for essential businesses like ours?
Well, Jared, you all make a very strong argument for this. However, we have to wait, people's health and their protection with what the issues that you brought up. What I would suggest is as follows. We guarantee you that we'll look into this. Lisa and I and others in our office will look into this very carefully. But we would love to get as much information from you all as possible that will allow us to actually analyze it better and form an educated position. At this moment, we are not committed one way or another. As you know, that section of any stimulus package is in a state of flux, and for good reasons. So certainly, if you can help us in providing us with that information, but anything else that you may have that may help us get to where you want us to get, it will certainly be welcome.
It's possible that the member or staff will ask you a question that you can't answer. Be honest. There's no harm in admitting that you don't have all the details and that a team member will follow up with that information after the meeting.
Congressman, great question. I don't currently have that information on me, but I'll certainly follow up with NACS and ensure we get that information right back to you. Thank you for the question.
Often, the member will look to their staff for further action or next steps. Staffers are critical to your success in your meetings.
Large of an issue is this? Have a lot of lawsuits been filed already? And who would be in support of this type of legislation?
I don't know the exact number of lawsuits. I know there's quite a few, but I can go back and get that for you. I'll send you some information on that. And as far as who else is involved, NACS is helping lead a pretty significant coalition, about 40 different business groups and companies that are all interested in this, trying to make sure that they have the protection they need going forward. So I can get you that list as well from my colleague who's running that group.
You may have meetings scheduled with only congressional staff instead of the member of Congress. This is completely fine. If you get the staff on your side, they can help to get their boss to support our issues. They often carry the most power in an office as they influence, research, and craft legislation that can have a huge impact on our industry. As the meeting wraps up, you can invite the member to see your business firsthand back home when we can hold in-person events again.
Those issues that we want to talk to you about today, so we appreciate your time. I will say that once this pandemic is over and we can actually get out and physically get together and see people again, we have a great program called the NACS In-Store Program, where we bring members to stores in their districts. I'm sure either Julie or Jared would love to have you come by their stores, or both, at some point once we can actually do that. So we'll be in touch on that as well.
By all means, and as you know, we always welcome NACS every year to our DC office. We're hopeful that next year that'll be possible. It's a pleasure to work with you all, and actually, NACS is easy to work with in DC. Provide us with the information that we need, and that's exactly why we enjoy working with you all.
Before you leave, be sure to thank everyone involved for their time and interest in your business and our industry as a whole. After each meeting, it's critical that you fill out the meeting feedback form on our web portal. Be sure to note any relevant comments or questions so that the NACS team can follow up with each office. Now you've seen how a virtual meeting with a member of Congress can play out. We hope you take what you've learned here and make the most of your meetings with your elected officials. We're looking forward to seeing you on Zoom and hearing all about your Day on the Hill experience. And I hope to see you all in person very soon.